And 4, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy because your thumb is resting. You got the other ones all at attention, but the thumb is resting. That tells you that this is a rest day. Let it rest. 4, just remember. So if anybody asks you, what's the 4th commandment? Listen, remember the Sabbath because my thumb is resting. And keep it holy, keep it holy, keep it holy. So I'm going to teach you sign language as we go through. So you'll be able to just go. And somebody said, no two things alike. Thou shalt make unto thee no graven image. And somebody said, what's the 3rd commandment? Oh, I know what that is. That deals with your word. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain. So you'll be able to just go right to it and say, what's number 4? And you'll be able to just tell them. So when we get through 10, you're going to know all 10. Somebody just ask you one of them, and you'll be able to see exactly which one they are. But this one, we're at law number 4 here. This is the law of remembrance and rest. The law of remembrance and rest. Because the world has lost a Sabbath mentality. Now Sunday is not about keeping the Lord's day holy. It's about catching up on what we didn't get finished during the week. I mean, when I was growing up, you didn't do anything on Sunday. I mean, you didn't cook on Sunday. I mean, ladies would cook on Saturday. They cook a big meal on Saturday. They just warm things up on Sunday. But cooking is a chore. I mean, chopping this and snapping beans and shelling peas and shucking corn, and all that kind of stuff. And these young women don't know anything about that nowadays. And let me just tell you this, Jiffy is not cornbread. That is cake mix. I like buttermilk cornbread, the old-fashioned way. I really do. Now, I'm not so country now. I didn't eat mine with a glass of buttermilk now. I don't know anything about that. I don't do buttermilk like that. I like buttermilk in the bread. I don't like bread in the buttermilk. But I know some folk that would take it and they wouldn't be sophisticated. They wouldn't have a knife and a fork. They'd have cornbread in a glass. I'm like, what in the world is Grandma doing? Like she was taking communion. And so, but we didn't play cards on Sunday. We didn't go to the movies on Sunday. I mean, it was the Lord's day. We would keep it holy. They just certain things. You didn't play marbles. They just didn't let you do anything. On Sunday, they remembered that this was the Lord's day. You were to keep it holy. And so it shouldn't be today about catching up what we didn't finish during the week, but we live in a society where our motto is time is money. But you see, the only problem with that expression is that money cannot buy more time. In fact, money cheapens it. It cheapens it because, people can't really pay you for what you're honestly worth, so it honestly cheapens it. I mean, if a person gets paid for sex, somebody has just cheapened you. How dare you put yourself on sale when God made you a priceless gem? You don't really discount precious gems. And so we pay a price. We forget that money can be replaced, time cannot. You can make more money, but you can't get more time. And time study research tells us that Americans work 350 hours or 9 work weeks more than our European counterparts per year. And those same studies tell us that Americans suffer more from stress, cardiac arrest, hardening of the arteries, and cancer than our European counterparts. And we're working more, and we're suffering more with these physical maladies. Somebody asked the Jewish rabbi, how is it that the Jews have preserved the Sabbath so well all of these years? And the Jewish rabbi responded, it is not the Jews who have preserved the Sabbath, it is the Sabbath that has preserved the Jews. When you keep God's time, God will keep you. I mean, he will bless you. And I wonder sometimes, is it that we are too restless to rest? Or is it that we have a difficulty recognizing a gift when a gift is given by God? I don't know how we make the gift of the Sabbath, we've turned it into a thicket of legalism. By the time of Jesus, they had 1,521 laws governing the Sabbath. 1,521 things that you couldn't do on the Sabbath. In the 17th century, a Scottish man was arrested for smiling on the Sabbath. Now, isn't that crazy? We insist on seeing God as a demander rather than as a giver, but God is a giver. And He gave us the gift of the Sabbath to preserve us and to bless us. Because time is the first element of creation that God actually identified as being sacred. Time is God's essential gift to the human race, because without time, no other gift would be possible. All of the gifts are developed in time. You've got to take time. It takes time to be holy. It takes time to serve God. It takes time to reverence God. It takes time. An unknown author said that to realize the value of a year, ask a student who has just failed his final exam. To realize the value of 1 month, ask a mother who has given birth to a child prematurely. If you want to know the value of a week, ask an editor of a weekly newspaper. In order to realize the value of 1 day, ask a daily wage laborer who has 10 kids to feed. If you want to know the value of an hour, ask a couple who's waiting for their wedding ceremony. If you want to know the value of a minute, ask a person who has just missed the train. If you want to know the value of a second, ask a person who has survived an accident. And if you want to know the value of a millisecond, ask the person who just won the silver in the Olympics. Time is a gift. It is a gift. And Jesus explained to us that the Sabbath was made for man and not man for the Sabbath in Mark chapter 2, verse 27. The Sabbath is the only day that God actually gave a name. The other things he didn't give a name to. We just know that they were the evening and the morning were the first day. And then the evening and the morning were the second day. And the evening and the morning were the third day. And the evening and the morning were the fourth day. And the evening and the morning were the fifth day. Had you ever noticed how God said the evening and the morning were the first day and the evening and the morning? We don't tell our days that way. We say morning and night, don't we? Or morning and evening. But God said evening and morning were the first day. He gave that order on purpose. You know why? It's because God starts working in your life when it's dark, when you can't see. That's the time that He comes in. That's the time that He's planting stuff, when He's got you working and struggling and going through stuff that you don't even understand. But God said, just hold your hope. Because I start in the evening of your life and I'm going to finish out in the morning. Weeping might endure in the evening, but joy comes in the... Oh, you're getting it real. Oh, I'm glad to see that you're getting it. So God said the evening and the morning were the first day, and the evening and the morning were the second day, and the evening and the morning were the third day, because God always starts working at night. He's going to go to work in the time when it's dark and you don't see and understand what in the world He's doing. Why is it taking so long? Lord, why are you not blessing me with this at this point in my life? Lord, why didn't I win the lottery? Why didn't I get the promotion? Why didn't I get married? Why haven't I had a baby yet? See, it's nighttime to you. It's dark and you cannot see God's purposes. They're beyond our finding out, but God said, just hold your hope. Joy is coming in the morning, and so he's got a strategy. God is up to something. But it was the only day that God named. He named the Sabbath. He named it the Sabbath where it became holy. It was the only day that God hallowed. The only day that He made sacred, that He sanctified, that He said, set it apart, that I want you to take 1 day out of your week and make it different from all of the other days. Make it different. Don't make it common. Don't do the stuff on that day that you do every other day. I want 1 day that is kept as a sacred day unto me. This is not time off. This is sacred time. It is sacred time where God says, remember the Sabbath. It is a day of remembrance, a day of reflection, a day of rest when He brings us into a Sabbath, because man walks in his own strength, 6 days. 6 is the number of man. Man was created not on the first day, nor the second day, nor the third day, nor the fourth day, nor the fifth day. Man was created on the 6th day. He was created on day number 6, so 6 is the number of man. Because God created man on the 6th day. The first book of the Bible that was named after a man is Joshua. It is the 6th book of the Bible. Man grows to be approximately 6 feet tall. And when he dies, he's buried 6 feet under and carried by 6 pallbearers, because 6 is the number of man. And 6 is where man walks in his own strength. But when you step into the 7th dimension, this is a time of divine rest and divine completion. And so God will say, listen, I want you to let some things happen. I want you to just let some things happen when you will do it in your own strength for 6 days. But on the seventh, take a rest and let it be me. Just let it be all about me. I want you to come because I've hallowed this time in your life. I've hallowed this particular day in your life. So don't you do the other things that you would normally do. I want to hallow this. And even those priests that carried the Ark of the Covenant, they would only carry it one step, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and they would put it down, stop and worship. They would always take a break after 6 because they would say, this is all man stuff. There's only so much that we can do. There's only so much that I can do to make a marriage work. There's only so much that I can do to try to make my business fly. There's only so much that I can do to get my ministry off the ground. There's only so much that I can do. And the seventh, where God will say, stand ye still and see the salvation of the Lord. Moses, you brought them as far as you can go now. And here now you got a Red Sea in front of you. You got Pharaoh's army behind you. You got the mountains on one side and the wilderness on the other. Where can you go now? And God says, now you've done everything that you could do. You brought them out by your strength, but I'm getting ready to bring you in. And so when you do it on the 6th, if you just go 6 times, just 6, 6, that's the number of man, and it says, you know what, God, I'm at the end of myself. That's why God will let you wear your fool self out. He'll let you worry yourself sick. He'll let you try. You will scream. You'll have your veins popping out of your neck trying to straighten things. Oh, he ain't going to do me like that. No, I told him. And you think that you have fixed something because you told him? It might last for about 20 minutes. Oh, you haven't fixed it because you don't even have the power to control that. I mean, you can't control getting a run in your stockings. And you think you can control another grown man who's got a recalcitrant, iconoclastic, contumacious will against you? Because you told him you ain't going to treat me like that? Listen, 6 is the number of man. It is where you'll do it. And let me just tell you this, that if you will honor God on that 7th, guess what God will do? God said, if you will honor me on the 7th and take a rest and not make it common like your other days. That's not a catch-up day. That's not a day for you to network. That's not a day for you to take time planning your next week. It's a chill day. And God said, if you'll do this, he said, I'll bless you. I'll breathe on you on the 6th day. And let me just tell you this. We are in the 6th day of God now. We're in the 6th day of God. That's why there is an increase in the revelation of God in the earth. We're walking in more revelation now than perhaps any generation has ever seen. The revelation of God is wide open. It is called manna from heaven. And you'll discover in the 16th chapter of the book of Exodus where God rained down manna every single day. He rained down manna for 6 days out of the week, but he said on the 6th day, he said, I'm going to let you get double on this day and save it up. That was the only day that they could get it and save it, and it wouldn't stink and have worms in it. If they did it any other day, God says it's going to stink and it'll have worms in it. But when you do it at God's timing, God says, I want you to labor on the 6th day and get enough that will carry you through. And so God says, I'm going to give you a double portion in the 6th hour. On the 6th day, I'm going to let that be the thing that will actually bless your life on the 6th day. And so we're in the 6th day of God now. And that's why God has given us more revelation. He's given us manna. But guess what? You're getting ready to go into a rest period. When you enter into the sovereign rest of God, but there's a peace that comes over your soul. And when other folks can do crazy stuff, and your soul is at rest. They used to do it and it would irritate the tar out of you because you couldn't control their behavior. But now you have entered into their rest. You're going to just let them go on and just have their tantrum. Go on and let the devil give them their last tear. They've got the body in convulsions. It's on the ground, but the demon is coming out. You may as well, after you have given the word, he sent his word and delivered them and healed them from their destruction. I mean, God sends his words and heals you and delivers you. He sends the word to be able to do that. Don't you worry about what's going on because somebody is convulsing on the floor. It's God at work now. You lay hands and let God raise him up. You lay your hands and the Lord shall raise him up. You do the man part, God will do the God part. But God says, I want you to do yours 6 days, but you let me do mine on the 7th. And he says, you remember me, you remember me, you remember the Sabbath day, and you keep it holy. Keep it holy. Holy means sanctified. Holy means set apart. Holy means that you don't do the mundane things that you've been doing every other day during the week. You do something that distinguishes this day as different from the other days. And so God says, this is my time that is holy to me. This is precious to me to be able to bring it into the presence of God. Do you think that God rested because he was tired? Hardly. No. You see, because God does not exert energy the same way that we do. And that explains why really the word ceased or the word abstained is really a better rendition than the word rested. God didn't have to rest because he was worn out. God just ceased. He ceased. He abstained. Not because he was worn out, but he just ceased. He just stopped. Because if you don't stop at some point, you never are able to get a renewal. The seventh Sabbath is not a day of rest because people are tired.